Okay, we are back and we are talking about chapter 13, looking at inventory management. Okay, so let's go on and begin to look at some of the details associated with stocking and storing. We have what's called unit dose packaging. Unit dose packaging can take many forms. You may see as a plastic pack, vial, tubes, ampules, etc. And these allow for the medication to come in whatever form that is most necessary for it to be used by the patient. Um, and so you don't just see bottles; you see different configurations, and that must be taken into account as part of your inventory, and also when you are shelving those different packages. Physical organization is very important. Drugs can be organized by the manufacturer and brand name or alphabetically by generic name. And usually the organization that you see is in alphabetical order, usually by a generic name. And that gives the physical storing or the stocking of the medication some type of continuity of a location that could be easily retrieved upon needs when fulfilling a particular prescription. So each medication should be organized such that the oldest items are dispensed first. Enough space should be provided to minimize breakage and to help prevent accidental selection of the wrong medication. And to help prevent errors, drugs with similar names should not be on the shelf next to each other. An example of that is hydrozazine and hydralazine. Similar names in terms of what those particular drugs begin, but can be, and since it can be confused, something should allow it to be um, separated. Another thing that's also very important to note when in relation to stock and storage is what is called consignment. So some high cost medications are on consignment, meaning the pharmacy does not pay for them until the patient purchases them. And these are usually associated with very expensive medications. Refrigeration. Again, it's very important that one notes the type of storage when a medication comes in. If a medication needs to be refrigerated, such as many vaccines, and is kept at room temperature, that leads to a decrease in its potency, or even can make it dangerous for the patient if administered. So refrigeration it's very important, and those refrigerations or freezers should be maintained based on manufacturers' specifications and requirements. Point of use stations in hospitals and other settings. Medications are stocked throughout the facility's dispensing unit, or supply station, or med station. Since they are at the point of use, this greatly simplifies the dispensing medication to the patient. It will be very challenging in many cases if the nurse will have to leave the nursing station, go all the way down to the pharmacy, then come back to administer a particular medication. If the medication is already there within the vicinity of the nurse or whoever dispenses the medication, it makes it much easier in terms of making sure that the patient gets what they need when they need it. Durable medical equipment, and the acronym for that is DME, includes items such as walkers, wheelchairs, crutches, and bedpans. Because these objects are often bulky, they are sometimes ordered on a next day basis from wholesalers. In hospitals, these items are found in central supplies or distribution departments. Non-durable equipment includes items such as syringe needles and ostomy supplies. Okay, so we have covered this particular section here, and of course controlled substances we have already talked about. So let's go back to the beginning and look at our think it through and see if we can answer some of the questions that we have talked about. Right? So again, it says you are a pharmacy technician who has been assigned buyer's duties for the day. This means you are responsible for stocking and ordering drugs. You start your shift with boxes and totes full of drugs from an order that was placed with a wholesaler of the night before. As you read this chapter, consider the following. You are stocking the order that was placed yesterday when you discovered that several medications listed on the invoice are not in the tote box, and that some items included in the shipment were not ordered. What is the process for checking the order and dealing with the wrong stock? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. That comes under forms. So there will be several forms that we will have to use. For example, if in the form we had certain items that we did not request, they will go with the return forms. If there's certain things missing, that means that we looked at the shipping invoice and found that it was not there. So those things we need now to be ordered again, or to check to see if it's ordered or where it is in the process of being delivered. So maybe it's being shipped and it's on its way. So we need to look at that, looking at the computerized system. What should be reviewed during the process of stocking the shelves? Well, there's certain things that is very important. First, looking at the unit dose packaging, the physical organization, consignment stock, whether control stock, control substances, whether or not it needs room temperature or to be refrigerated, and what type of supply has been sent. Those are certain things that are very important because they'll determine where in the storage process we will put these particular prescriptions. How will you determine if the correct amount of stock is on hand or if additional stock should be ordered? And we talked about that. Again, that comes under what is called the tools for perpetual inventory, in which there are reorder points. And a lot of times these are particular, it's automated within the computer that will tell you that something is out of stock or its availability is limited. And so by working with the computer, by doing your manual check, you can determine what needs to be ordered and when it needs to be ordered. And what process should you use to place an order for additional stock? Again, a lot of times the computer itself will make the order. If something has reached a particular, if a certain amount of medication have gone out and it has reached a particular number, depending on the automated system that a pharmacy may have, will send out an order, or sometimes you have to manually send out the order itself depending on the type of pharmacy that you are at. Okay, so let's finish chapter 13. I want you to be able to do the quiz that's associated with chapter 13. And we will go ahead and continue this particular process. Thank you very much.